Faith, featuring Justin and Mercedes Boucher.
And now you can start.
And we're back.
We are back.
I'm Mercedes.
I'm Justin.
And we are the Growing Catholics. Oh, that was so perfect and in sync. I love it.
Yep. And, yeah. So, it's kind of I guess a
post-retreat follow-up.
A bittersweet day to the end. Like, it's good to be back, but it's also
sad to leave the retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, so let's backtrack to so we left for a retreat Friday, and today's Sunday, so we were there for a couple days. It was a healing retreat, for trauma, and I wouldn't say it's a couples retreat. It can be, but more so I was going to go by myself because of stuff I've been through in my life, and it was prior to Justin, and part of me had the sense of I have to do this myself because I felt I had to prove something to myself that, like, I was strong, I could do this, and I didn't need you. And that was a lie. I relied on you all weekend. You were my safety net. Like, I can't describe it. So it was my first retreat I've ever been to. I walk in the door, I'm bawling my eyes out instantly.
Yeah.
I literally called it. I was like, I'm gonna cry all weekend. I legit did. And I walk in the door, I cried instantly. I went to Evelyn. Oh, was I allowed to say that?
I guess. No, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I went to the intake lady. Did not mean to say that. Who helped me, like, get started with going to this retreat. Like, I've been trying to go to this retreat for a little bit now. The first one I went to got
pushed back.
No, they didn't have space for me because the retreat center they originally were going to was double booked, so they had to move to a smaller retreat center, so they didn't have space for me, so I got kicked out. Not kicked out, but, like, they just didn't have space for me, and I was, like, the last one to try to go, so that didn't work out. The next one I was going to go to was super close to the old house. The week of, or literally a day or so before, they canceled it because, unfortunately, the priest who was supposed to be there passed away. So I definitely understand why they canceled that. So then I found this one. It had, great reviews for...
It was supposed to be this one.
It was supposed to be this one. I felt how I was a little tongue-tied. I felt I was meant to be there for many specific reasons.
Yeah.
And now I'll let you tell your side of the story. I went for healing for myself for the trauma I dealt with in my life.
And I was going for support.
Just
Strictly support. And yeah, that did not go as planned. I feel like whether it's a little bit or a lot, I think everyone has a little bit of brokenness that they can deal with. And yeah, they started asking everybody in the room the questions and sharing stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm next. And so I just started talking, and I went for a ride for the weekend, and instead of me being support, it felt like I was a participant. It was very emotional, very long weekend. Good weekend.
Yeah, great. It was just very emotionally draining because, at least for myself, I'll speak for it because I won't speak for both of us. For myself, I'm one to bury my feelings. I'll bury it somewhere, and it's like a cemetery almost. That's like the best way to describe it. I bury it somewhere. It's like an unmarked grave I'll never touch again. So when I went to the retreat, like, just wanted to watch because I'm not one to speak up about my feelings. But then once I started talking about my feelings, it dove deeper into other things I've went through, and I just didn't shut up, basically. I let it all out because one thing Justin said is, like, if you want the full retreat experience, like, you have to participate. And I'm like, ugh. But at the end of the day, I'm so glad I did. I can't even tell you the weight I feel lifted off of me. I feel lighter, and I feel happier.
Yeah, you can tell. And even people were saying they noticed a difference right away. Like, not some people you could tell right away. They were like, oh, wow, that person's different. And eventually they could just tell with you.
Yeah, but I feel like naturally I have a resting beep face, so so I feel like maybe some people can't tell. But no, honestly, I think after day 2, because one thing they did that I really did love was the living scripture exercises. And they actually did all of my favorite scriptures because I feel like I hold them so close because I read them. Those scriptures that are read are ones that are read right before Easter. And when I was thinking about it, I'm like if you think about it, Easter is a time for rebirth, renewal, or getting baptized if you're not. And I was like, and it touched my soul more, if that makes sense.
For those who don't know what a living scripture is that you're in the game, like you're in it. You close your eyes and they read the Bible verse, but then they throw you in and you're like, all right, so for the blind man, you are the blind man. And they walk you through. I mean, like the way they don't just sit there and say, now picture yourself that you're the blind. Like they go through the scenario. They put the background music. They put the background scenario in play. They put the crowd in play. Every single thing is in play. So they put the entire image in your head. They don't just sit there and close your eyes and pretend you're a blind man. They paint the entire scenario like you're actually there. And it's you have to experience it to really fully understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, so but yeah, it was really nice. Like, it's like the dim lights, you're in like these really comfy chairs. They read the scripture and then you sit and like you think on it for a little bit, like, basically, and they say like, oh, if you're the blind man. The one I liked was the woman at the well. Wait, is that the one they throw rocks, or is that the other one? Which one is the one where they throw rocks? Not the woman at the well, then.
No, that's the woman who...
So the woman that committed adultery, how they were going to throw rocks at her. And then they read that scripture, and it's like, you're walking through town, and all of the faces you know are, like, judging you. And
you hear of a man...
Jesus.
Well, yeah, you hear of a man that is... I forget the exact word they use.
I know, I just wanted to say Jesus.
Like, you hear of a man, and you think that this person can help, blah, 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 just like going on, like, or like in the blind person, like you hear of a man who's curd. Go ahead. Sorry.
So, like, with the woman that he's like, he basically, like, says, like, name one he said, like, have one person here who has not sinned. Like, I do not, and then it's like, I do not condemn you. So it's like, how would you feel, like, basically, if Jesus comes to you and says, like, for the mistakes you made, he does not condemn you. Because one thing, at least for myself, I seem to forget is that our God is a merciful God, and he forgives. He grants us these graces to forgive us. Like, if it's pure in our heart and we actually are sorry for what we did, he forgives us. Like, he wants to love us. He wants to... he does not want us to walk around with that feeling of condemnation. I don't know the right word for that. But yeah, that one was my favorite, and the Lazarus one was my top 2. Because, like, the Lazarus, like... Oh, wait, no, finish your story first. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to finish my thought with that one, because...
No, I was just going to say that... And it's not just sitting there by yourself, picturing it. Like, they're helping interact with it. So, like, the priest is playing Jesus. So it's more interactive. Like, you do everything they say. It's like you're you're in it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, obviously you can do it without the assistance of people, but it makes it a world of a difference.
Yeah, the Lazarus one really stuck with me. But, yeah, so it was really good. But, like, the first night, I just thought it would be, like, a meet and greet, like, hey, I'm Mercedes from Amish country.
Oh, they went hard.
Yeah, like, they dove right in, like, and I was like, whoa. And it was a long night.
And there were a few people that just cracked me up.
Yeah, there was definitely some characters there that I absolutely loved to death. Because, like, I don't know how to describe it. They were just very funny. And they told it like it is, like, with, like, no filter. And on top of that, like, we have, like, 2 priests in the room. A sister or a nun. But they go by sisters now. And I tell you guys, I finally met a sister and a nun. And I've finally lived out my lifelong dream. I've always wanted to meet a nun in person, and I finally met one. And she was amazing.
Yep.
I absolutely loved her. We grew our own connection, talking to her, besides telling her that she helped me live out my lifelong dream of meeting a nun. She probably thought I was crazy. But, like, she helped me learn a lot with myself, and then teaching me about a couple saints as well that I can turn to, besides my confirmation saint, Saint Maria Goretti.
So now that we're in the after of it, which I think that's I guess that's the hardest part, which is kind of nice because with both of us going, because now it's not like a you have to deal with it yourself, because I feel like the hardest part is coming back from the retreat, because then you get that retreat high and then it comes down, and it comes down real fast, especially when you walk in the door and you're like, yep, all my stresses are back here waiting.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know what you meant by that before I even went to retreat. I kind of, like, told myself, like, oh, I'll be fine, like, we have each other. But coming home, like,
it's over.
It is like, yeah, it's like the fact that it's over. And it's like, when you're at that retreat, you have the same people, not the same people, people that shared similar experiences with you. So you have that comfort. And when you're home, there's a lot of people who don't know the stuff you've been through. And some that you may never tell, which is your business. Which I'm talking about myself. I don't know why I'm talking about myself in third person. That's weird. Did not learn that at the retreat, I'll tell you that. It's just, it's like that safety net is gone. I was telling the group that this morning. Like, I was nervous to leave because when I was there was that safety net, that strength, that courage, and other people really rooting for you to get to the other side of the trauma you've been through. And then it's like, out here, like, people don't know the trauma I've been through. Like, and that's my story to tell if I choose to share it, which I probably won't. Well, you know my story anyway. So, and people knowing bits and pieces of my story, like, don't know the whole story, which is another thing I liked. I got to tell my whole story, not just bits and pieces. Like, I started from, I don't want to say birth because I remember when I was born, but you know what I mean.
You said everything.
Like, I was able to lay it all out on the table, not like, oh, I did this is like, no, I got to lay it out all on the table, and it felt great. Like, once I was able to share my story of, like, how I grew up and how I did this, that, and the third, I felt like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulders because of things. I guess since I buried things in an unmarked grave, I never addressed it again, and I never thought it affected me. But then, like, I'm sitting there telling people my story, bawling my eyes out, like crying hysterically. But I feel better than ever. And it's like, I know I have you to help me through that out here, but, like, there was other women who understood
Who've been there.
And, yeah, and like they're women, so they get it. Whereas like you're a man, you'll never get it. No offense.
No, and that's where I was talking about, like, I joked and I was like, oh, I kind of feel like I snaked my way in there because of you, and it's not something usually I would go to, and like, I was originally talking about something, and then I kind of traced it back to something else, and then it was something else, and then it got even deeper. And
yeah, once sister got you, you were not going anywhere. Like sister said, we going to get to the bottom of whatever
and it had
you're
nothing
going
to
through.
do with what I was originally talking about. And even though I said I snaked myself in, they're like, oh no, like everybody was like, no, you were here for a reason. You're here for this. You're here for that. And it's like I wasn't there really for support for you, which I was, but I was there just as a participant. And
you were meant to come with me, which I love. That God made sure that happened, because originally Justin was supposed to come with me. To me, that was something I dealt with prior to Justin, so I needed to deal with it by myself to show myself the strength, show myself I had strength. And like to you, like, well, the first mindset was like, I'll go if you want me to go, but like if you don't want me to go, I'm fine. And then talking to the intake leader, she's like, husbands like really can help with support when it comes to this, and you don't realize small triggers you might have that could be damaging to your relationship. Like, I'm not saying we're in a bad place or anything like that, but like certain tics that I might have, like not sharing my feelings with you right away, or letting you know something bothers me and just letting it build up and till I explode. And that goes back to the trauma I've dealt with.
yeah,
And like, it made me think, like, you do deserve to be there to understand I'm this way because of this.
Yeah.
But it was also like, you don't deserve a lot of the slack you get because of what I dealt with. If that makes sense? Like,
I get what you're saying.
So I am really glad you went like that. I felt like that's why those other two first retreats were blocked, because you were meant to come with me for this one. And we were able to meet those amazing people and characters. Like, I really want to hit up a couple of them because they cracked me up, and they had so much strength, and all these people sharing their stories. And one thing I thought I was going to hate was sharing my story to strangers.
Yeah.
And I was like...
But I think there was easier
than telling people you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you... One person, you can get away with it. But if you had to tell a room full of people, that amount of people that you knew, that would be a lot harder. Because I feel like people don't want to necessarily give up. Like, you could spill it to somebody, but then somebody doesn't want to give up what they're hurt with. Because, like I said, I feel like a lot of people either have some sort of hurt or healing needed, and they don't want to let that go. So it's like, if I'm telling you all my problems and you just want to bottle it up, you're going to make it seem like everything's like your life is perfect. And so then it makes it harder for me, because I'm just like the baggage guy of the relationship.
Yeah.
Because you seem perfectly fine, and I'm the baggage.
I am perfect.
But going back to the retreat, everyone's there for the same reason.
Yeah.
And you can't sit there and be like, well, look at me. I'm spilling this, and they're not even half as bad. Everyone's there for a reason, and I feel like when you tell people that may have something, they just don't necessarily share it. It makes it harder, because it really does will make you feel like you are the baggage in the relationship.
Yeah, and sister made me go second, and I was like, do I have to? Because Whatchamacallit went first for her story, and then Whatchamacallit looked at me and was like,
oh yeah,
you're next. I was like, I'm not ready. Like, my heart's racing. But then once I got up
Well, that
there,
was the sister.
She's a sister to me.
Oh. Yep.
But side note, back to thinking people are perfect. That's one thing that really stuck out with, I feel like, almost everybody in the group, where like we feel like we need to have this picture perfect life where like Johnny plays baseball, Kim's on the soccer team, and you know what I mean? Like, we have no issues. We go to church on Sundays. We smile at everybody. We volunteer. We do this, 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 and this. Where in reality, like, nobody's perfect. And I feel like so many people strive for perfection because people put on this whole persona, like, oh, I'm doing this, this, and this. But
social media is great for putting that out.
I do drugs on the side or something like that. Not me personally, but I'm just saying an example. Like, I'm perfect, but I do drugs on the side, but no one knows about.
Yeah. Well, like social media, you always post out positive. Everyone's gonna think you're the perfect, and people judge off of that. So it's like, okay, well, I they're harder on themselves because they judge their life compared to people who post everything perfect on. And I'm not sitting there saying like everyone has to tell their problems on social media, because who wants to do that? But if someone posts videos of them traveling all the time, you're just gonna get them. They have this perfect life. All they do is travel.
They have lots of money. Like,
who knows what's going on in their head? As soon as their head hits the pillow, who knows what they're thinking? Mm-hmm. And no one knows that. And you have to realize that, because otherwise you're gonna be thinking, oh man, this guy's perfect, and I'm this and this or this. And everyone goes through struggles. There's a reason why so many people who are wealthy or celebrity commit suicide.
It seemed Robin Williams is like a perfect example. Everyone thought he was just happy all the time.
And
he
to go back, yes, you are perfect. I know.
Thank you. But that's one thing the retreat taught me. The retreat taught me so many things. It's not even funny. But one of them was, I don't have to be perfect or make it seem that everything's perfect on the outside for everybody else. I don't need to have the perfect birthday party for the kids. I don't need to make sure the kids have like the best sneakers or whatever, even though like a lot of times I just go certain brands. But anyway, like, I don't have to stress myself to appease other people. Like, oh, you're not getting the kids this? Like, no, I'm broke. Sorry. Yeah. We have different priorities. So I felt like that, like, so I don't know how to describe it. So imagine me as like, that Rockman in like Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So like, that's how I was coming into the retreat, and now I'm not. So like, not having to strive for perfectionism to appease others that honestly I could care less about or have a true relationship with, and like that, I felt like that rock came off. Like, the shame I carried for things that I had no control over, that came off. Like, and it's like, I just felt like I feel light again. I feel like I can breathe.
Let it go.
Yeah, like, I could finally let it go. Like, I was holding on to so much stuff because I felt like I had to, like, punish myself, because I felt like I deserved to be punished for the sins I've committed in my life. But, like, me punishing myself wasn't doing anything for me. Like, it wasn't doing anything. I don't know how to describe it.
I know what you mean, though.
But yeah, so
some of the details, some of the things you're talking about, like, it's be easier to understand if you knew what we're talking about, but it's not something you're just gonna put out there to the world.
Maybe one day I will share my full story. I'm just not there yet. I am better than I was Friday, and I can walk around with, I don't want to say my chest how high because I have breasts and I feel like that sounds weird, but I can walk around and smile, and
but this is your moment. This is where
like, I feel like this is my time to shine with whatever God's called me to do. Side note. I went to Adoration for the first time ever.
Oh yeah.
It was amazing. I'd never been to Adoration. we talked about going, but we never did. So I was excited when they said, "Oh, all retreatants had to go to adoration." For those who don't know what adoration is, it's when you go to spend an hour with the Blessed Sacrament. Well, spend it with Jesus. Right? Okay. So Justin picked the 2 a.m. slot.
It was 2 a.m. or the 7. And the person next to me, I figured would not want to get up in the morning. So I figured we might as well take the 2 a.m.
I didn't want to get up in the morning either, but I was so tired. But when I was there, like I know you can talk to God whenever, but when you're in adoration, the intimacy of being vulnerable and talking to God and praying with him and asking for his guidance is something I don't think I could ever really describe fully to give it the justice it deserves. But I will be continuing to find a chapel that does perpetual adoration, which is 24/7 adoration, because not all churches offer perpetual adoration. Even though I'm pretty sure adoration is one of the things you have to do to get to heaven.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure.
That I do not know.
I'm going to say I'm right. But I'll let you know next episode. But I'm pretty sure that's one of the things. That's why I don't get... I'm pretty sure it is, because I remember talking to somebody about it. I'm like, well, why don't they talk about it more? Like, that's something that should be, like, heavily discussed. And our old parish, they have trouble filling hours. Like, if I'm going to get to heaven, I better make sure I fill out a time slot. But I really loved adoration. I didn't like waking up, but when I was in the chapel, I felt amazing. And I cried. I cried all weekend. I couldn't help it. They were happy tears, sad tears, angry tears.
They fit a lot in one day.
Yeah, but when I was with Jesus, they were happy tears and tears of relief and comfort that he's already gotten me this far, even times when I didn't know he was there. And I am going to, now that I've understand more, I'm going to continue with like what he wants me to do and leaning on Mary and such.
Yeah.
No, you got my face, please.
There you go.
Thanks. I feel like you thought I got taller, but actually I did get taller. I stand higher now because of that retreat.
You can tell.
Thank you.
You can tell.
I feel happier. Like, not like I was sad. I don't know how to describe it. Like, I guess I never realized the weight and sadness I carried around before until I had to address everything that I didn't want to address. Like,
you feel lighter.
I can give a little background because I feel like we talked about in the podcast before. Like, I was in an abusive relationship for many years, and for a while I blamed myself. Like, I blamed myself for staying. I blamed myself for staying so long and told myself I deserved it, and I felt so much shame. And one of the exercises was carrying a rock around to show you, like, each person, it symbolized something different. And for me, it was carrying around the blame of telling myself for so long that I deserved that abusive relationship. But then when I put that rock down, I knew it was time to put the rock down. I felt so much lighter that, like, I didn't deserve that for all those years. And it was not my fault that happened. Like, yes, it happened, unfortunately, and I can't take it back. I cannot change it. And that is part of my story. And anybody who knows any of the amazing saints, their stories are rough.
And if you watch, I just noticed this, if you watched the first time you talk about this, it was a lot harder for you to talk about it. You talked about it a lot easier right now.
Yeah. I did.
Yeah. Like, if you compare the two, not to say it wasn't emotional right now,
Yeah.
but you talked it through a lot easier. Like you talked about it like it was in the past, and it wasn't you.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
You know what I'm saying? The first time you talked about it, you still felt like you could tell you were still really affected and hurt. I'm not saying you're not.
I carried
But you
that.
talked about
yeah.
it with ease.
Yeah. It's because I kept telling myself that like it was over with, and I didn't have to deal with it anymore. So like out of sight, out of mind. Like it's in one of my unmarked graves. I have many unmarked graves. Hypothetically, and carrying around the weight of the blame and the shame. It's like sometimes I feel like people see women of abuse and like, oh, she stayed. Like, why did she stay? Like, oh, she was with him for so long, and no one ever knows what truly goes behind closed doors. And now I don't see a reason to hide. It happened to me. It happens, unfortunately, to a lot of women. But I'm not that person I was so many years ago. And I'm not going to hold on to that because I do have many blessings in my life. And you are one of them. But God's first. I meant to say God first, but then, because you're right here. So that was a main part of my weekend was explaining. And no, the retreat was not for abused women, before anybody assumes or anything like that, but that was the trauma part of my trauma that I dealt with, that I'm done carrying, actually.
Yeah.
And I think now that like my security bubble's gone, like it's like, yeah, today's day one of being out of the not even day one, like a couple hours after the retreat is ended. I want to make sure I still have that same attitude 14 days from now, 54 days from now, 180 days from now. And It's like, I don't want to keep count, but like, I want to mark the time, like an anniversary almost. Like
You were freed.
Exactly.
And it was a retreat for you, and then I got thrown into the mix, and then I felt like I was a participant. You were a participant, and then at the end, like at the very end, like Saturday night, is when we joined it to where it's for both of us, and then even Sunday was the closing for both of us. Mm-hmm. We turned it into something that was like somehow it got shifted into both of us are mixed into this. And I know it's very vague, it's hard to explain, but it was for you, then it was separate, and then at the end it was somehow,
our journeys together.
It came together, we closed it, and now
close that bad boy. Side note, but like one thing that I guess resonated with me was someone was saying like, when we got married in the church, like we became one. And I think for so long, I was taking all of my problems that I dealt with in the past and dealing with it on my own, because I felt like I didn't need to put that on you because you weren't there and you didn't deserve it. So I was taking all that pain and hurt and all that other stuff I was feeling, whereas like you're my other half and you're willing to take how I'm feeling and understand, not like understand exactly, but like you'll understand how I'm feeling or why I feel a way when it comes to certain things, or
I can make some sense of it.
Yes, exactly. So I think as the days progressed, letting you in more to like, you see me vulnerable obviously, and like my story, but like I guess since you got to hear the whole story, you were able to understand even more. So it's like in that retreat, I'm at my most vulnerable, whatever. And I wasn't ashamed or anything like that. I just basically wanted to be coddled by you the whole time. And like you were like the sweetest. The old ladies loved him.
I know.
I know. Whatever.
But I think so. Let's talk about the hardest. I really feel like the hardest part is because like I can feel it even now. It's just like, what do you like? What do
I feel
you
like
do?
what's next?
Yeah. What do you want to do next?
Adoration.
All right.
Prayer time together, like separate and together, because that's one thing. Like my relationship with God is my relationship with God. Your relationship with God is your relationship with God. Like we have two building relationships, but also having that prayer time together. Like we do want more children, so praying to God for children and praying to God to watch over the kids we have now.
So you have your relationship, I have my relationship, and then we have a relationship
With God.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's 3 different relationships.
Yeah.
I like that.
The best relationships are 3. Nope. That sounds so wrong.
Wasn't me.
If you think about it, Larry is your other half. So there's 3 there. But I was going to say the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
And cut.
I promise I was at a Catholic retreat all weekend.
But we did talk about, to kind of help keep it going, looking into other retreats. Because there's other retreats like you can go to, and like it doesn't have to be necessarily healing ones, even though they are the most emotional draining ones. Very. I'm telling you, they make you sleep better.
Not on the most comfortable bed, but
I was out cold last night, except for when I had to get up for adoration.
Yeah.
But then after that, out cold again.
Yeah, after adoration, I was able to fall asleep
pretty fast,
faster, and more at peace. And that's what I really love, like being there. Like after going through after taking all the steps to get to today, I felt so at peace. And it's like, obviously, since I'm not there anymore, because the retreat center is on sacred ground. Holy ground? So like sacred ground?
Holy ground.
Yeah. So it's like you have people praying, you have perpetual adoration, you have all this stuff protecting you from the devil. But like when you're out here, it's like you have to really work your hardest, because the more you grow closer to God, the more he's going to tempt you. And he doesn't tempt you with dark, scary things. He tempts you with like, ooh, that's shiny, let me have it.
Your weaknesses.
Yes. So it's making sure we push each other. Like tonight, like you weren't really feeling like doing the podcast, but you did it anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like pushing through, because when you don't want to do something, that's when you should do it the most. Like I didn't want to go first today. No. Yeah, I didn't want to go first today, but I made sure I went first, because I was because I had a chat with Jesus beforehand, and I wanted him to give me that courage so I can stand up first, because I'm no longer ashamed. And and he was going to give me the strength I needed, and he did.
It worked out good.
Yes, it did. And plus, first to go, don't gotta worry about it no more. That's one thing I learned. Just go first so you get over and done with. But like also like making sure we pray with our kids and scheduling our time better and working everything else around God. Not, oh, Kira has a birthday party, like we can't go to mass today. Like, sorry, Kira cannot go to a birthday party. We have mass today.
I think that's the fastest way to kill that high. Like when you stop doing that.
Doing what?
Going to mass and
that
is the fastest way to kill it. I mean, granted, today is kind of like a little kind of day right now, or evening, because it's over.
I'm gonna sleep so good tonight in our bed.
Yeah, but like, finding other avenues to keep it going, because it's hard, because it's like some of them went back to no one. I mean, physically no one. And it's, it's a tough thing. It's really easy to get lost in that and then be like, you get jacked up like, oh yeah, this is awesome. This is awesome. Mm-mm. And once reality hits back, it's over. And you're like, oh, that was fun. And then you lose traction again. And then you have to it's like you restart all over.
We don't want to fall back into the same habits. And I feel like that this weekend was a renewal, fresh start for myself, for you, and then our marriage and our little fam squad. Yep. Like I see things I feel like I sound crazy. See things in a different perspective than I did before. I really don't know how to explain it. But like this is like kind of like no more excuses. Like this is what we need to do, type thing. Like we can't keep asking God for things and not giving anything to this relationship. Like all you do is just go to the big man when you want something. Yeah,
what was that song? I think Jairo wrote it. That song. It's like, I only go to you when I need you, or something like that. And I know I do that.
Yeah,
I definitely do that.
And I just want to continue being humbled. If that makes, not humbled, but like praying for things, but like not wrecking my relationship with him if he does not give it to me, which I think will be the hardest. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I think I'm gonna finally do the Bible in a Year podcast, with Father Mike. Sister recommended it, so I'm gonna do it. Me and Sister were like this. She was the real MVP. Even though
she was wonderful.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool to talk to her outside it too.
Oh, we're going to. I really liked her. She's actually a certified counselor or therapist. No, whatever.
Counselor, something like that.
But like I didn't know nuns could do that, to be honest. I just thought
they're actually the ones I probably trust the most, because they don't have, and like she was talking about before, like she doesn't she has counseling to back up with science and things like that, but like it's not how does she put it? Sometimes it isn't always black and white. Mm-hmm. Whereas talk to other ones who are like non-religious whatsoever, and if they can't explain it, like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Science is this, blah blah blah. But I mean, she was even talking about songs, and like you be careful with the songs you listen to, just because certain ones that you listen to, they have those lyrics that can creep into you that go against of what we believe.
Oh, you like Mary Did You Know? I never liked that song.
Never knew that song. I mean, I know the song, but I never knew about that.
I always didn't like that song. I don't know how people like it, to be honest.
It's Kenny Rogers.
I don't care. It still wasn't good.
Anyway, she was basically talking about like the fact that it makes Mary seem clueless. Did not know what was going on. And clearly we know that that's not the case.
An angel came to her. Is it Gabriel?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, look at me.
Look at you go.
Look at me go. And, but yeah, I'm going to say a million times I love Sister. See, finally met a nun.
Yep. So I don't.
She's my first nun.
We're already at 45 minutes.
Oh, also, I want to show some things I got there. When we put down our rock / pain, we got what they call archangel stones. I know you can't see it unless you're watching. And if you're watching, you probably still can't see it because it's so tiny. It's like a clear rock with the archangel inside. And it says on the back, some ways to use this stone. Carry the archangel stone in your pocket or purse to use as a touchstone or reminder of your spiritual connection. As you hold the stone in your hand, feel the power and strength flowing into your life. Allow the archangels to protect and guide you in your travels.
It's not a magic stone.
It's got to be a weapon. Just kidding.
It's just a reminder.
Is it kind of like, you know how we have our brown? So it's not like how our brown scapular is, kind of. Like, this is just something to remind. This is just something to give us strength.
A visual.
Okay.
That you can hold. Like, it's like, you see the pictures. It's not like we're praying to the pictures. It's just using it as a visual.
Oh.
And so, people who don't get that, it's like, okay, well, do you have a baseball hanging in your room? Or do you have a baseball bat? Or do you have a stress ball? Or something like that, you know...
Yeah.
This is just a visual.
I know. I feel like sometimes people are weird. Like, some people have, like, their, not niches, but have their thing, like, when they're on a winning streak, like, that one lady was telling us, like, oh, they would only pee after each inning because they were winning. Like, but then say, like, oh, you're weird for praying to statues. Like, obviously, we're not praying to statues.
Yeah.
But moving on. And then we got a lapel pin. What's that? Let me tell you, when I first got this, I thought it said chapel pin. I'm like, oh, maybe they give this to everyone who starts adoration. That's just awesome.
The pumpkin, you just put it into your shirt or something.
Oh. I think I'm going to put it on my veil. Veil hair.
Can it go in there?
I'll let you know.
I have no idea.
I don't know either. But I don't want no bad juju. Because...
Well, that's not real, though.
I know, but... bad luck. I don't want bad luck.
Same thing.
Okay, I don't want anything bad to happen to me. Is that better?
I don't know if that's
Saint Michael, the Archangel, defend me in battle, please. Also, well, how come when we were talking and the eagle landed on the cross, the guy said that's a really good sign?
Oh, he was messing saying it's a good omen.
Oh, I thought he was serious. What's an omen anyway?
It's like when you find a penny with heads up or whatever.
Oh, you always
like,
have good luck. Okay,
yeah, something like that. It's just one of those
things.
Those old wives' tales or something like that. They call it.
But also one thing I learned at the retreat was setting boundaries, because I suck at that. I feel like I gotta appease everyone, but then give in to people because I'm scared of hurting their feelings. But like doing that, it was make me feel like I was drowning. So learning to set healthy boundaries with people, and at the end of the day, if people aren't going to respect my boundaries, they just can no longer be a part of my life, because it's honestly wrecking me. And at the end of the day, my boundaries are my boundaries, and that's what is going to have to work for me. Like, if I don't want people in my life that use new age things or believe in new age things, that's my peace.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm going to hold people to a higher standard. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, I need to set the bar high, because I no longer want that darkness in my life. You know what I mean?
And you don't have to hate the person. You just have to explain why. Be like, this is not what I want to be around.
Yes. And I'm going to do more research about that saint that was in the chapel. We learned about a new saint this weekend.
Or I think she's being canonized. Or like she's...
Really?
Like they're in the process of trying to get her canonized.
So my confirmation saint is Saint Maria Goretti, who is the patron saint of forgiveness. If you don't know her story, I think she was 14 when it happened, but she was attacked for trying to protect her virginity because it was sacred, and she got attacked, and then before her attacker died, she told him that she forgave him. There's like more to the story. My brain's just like kind of fried from this weekend. We can go more in detail about it, but she is the patron saint of forgiveness because she forgave her attacker when she didn't have to.
It's a canonization of Blessed Carolina Kosaka.
That's what it is. So I'm gonna do more research about her. Supposedly, her and my confirmation saint is actually very similar stories, and she has to do something with abuse.
She was sexually abused.
Yeah, it was like patron saint of abuse, and you're supposed to pray to her for women who've been through abuse. So I want to do more, read more about it, basically. Yeah. Which I thought was neat. How she was in a chapel. Because usually you only see. Actually, I can't really say what you usually see because I don't go to. I haven't been to too many chapels. Like, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Like, did adoration once. Let me tell you what's in these chapels. But
you learned something new.
Yeah, and then I love the priests that were there this weekend. I feel like priests really just give a calming presence to things. Because, like, yes, they give you what it is, but also, like, giving that affirmation that God still loves you.
Yeah.
Yes, you're a sinner, but God still loves you. Like, and that's one thing I took from this weekend. Like, yes, I'm a sinner. You're a sinner. People watching are probably a sinner. Or, no, not probably. They are sinners. And God still loves us. And just wants the best for us.
Yeah.
So, I think the takeaway for us, even though it's so hard being away from the retreat and that safety net, it's like making sure we're keeping up with each other with our podcast, praying together and praying separately and praying with the kids, praying over the kids, especially with the world we live in today. That's one thing I definitely want to start doing, is praying over them while they're sleeping. Going back to our retreat site, visiting the shrine, visiting different shrines. I feel like so much power comes from, like, I felt so much power from where we were at this weekend. Yeah. I can only imagine going to, like, Padre Pio, tongue-tied, because I talked so much this weekend. Can't even think straight anymore. And doing stuff like that together as a family, like showing our children, like, these are amazing saints. This is our relationship with God, and it's a beautiful thing. And explain to them, like, there may be pain in your life, but God is not away from you, even with that pain.
No, it's you that left.
Yes, exactly. So, I think that's just going to be the hard part, because I don't want to, I feel like I spilled so much out this weekend. I don't want to pile it back into a box again and put it on the shelf and act like it doesn't exist. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can talk about it whenever you want versus it's, having to dig down and try to find it again, and then it creates all those emotions again.
Yes,
it's just there. It's not.
I do want to make sure I keep it, not like.
It's not hidden.
Yeah, like, this is what happened. This is what it is. I don't want to say I'm loud and proud, because that makes it seem like something else, and I'm not loud and proud. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, just making sure that I don't do that, because my feelings are valid, and how I feel is how I feel.
And no one can change that.
Exactly. And I'm not going to stress about trying to change how I feel because someone else feels that way. Man, that feels so good to say.
No, I'm happy for you. I'm really proud of you.
I hope no one texts me, because I might be rude. Just I don't care how you feel.
I feel like I'd have a little bit more energy if it was like in a week or so. I honestly, I just feel so tired and drained. Like, I felt like it was important to talk about it just because we just got off of the retreat. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see what it's like a week from now.
I hope I have the same energy.
But just like after everything of this weekend, I'm just like,
You're like, I'm tired of talking about feelings. Let's move on.
Yeah, I'm tired.
And like me over here, like, I'm happier than anything. And I'm like on cloud nine. Like, I just feel so good. Like, I haven't felt this good in so long. And I just feel like all that weight's finally coming off. Now I need to go exercise for actual weight to fall off. Well, they say like when you're if you have a really good relationship with God, you're usually like working out or something like that. Like something about like your health and your physical health and your relationship with God, like it correlates. I don't know how to explain. I need to do research about it, but it's something along those lines. But just
Wouldn't
know,
surprise me.
I
You
find
feel better about yourself, and
yeah, like, and you think about like that's one thing that we're supposed to do. Like, God gave us our bodies, like we should be taking care of them. Like, is that a sin? Like, didn't we talk about that? Like,
I mean, I guess gluttony if you're overindulgent and like you're just being lazy, and
I feel like I overindulged this weekend. I ate so many sweets. I
there's
couldn't.
a lot of sweets.
So good. There was like the best coffee cake I ever had. It wasn't dry. It was moist. I don't like that word. But we are about to hit that hour mark. Did we miss anything?
That's what I'm thinking. Is there any other? What would you give to the person who is about to go on a retreat? If someone just happens to listen to this, what would you suggest?
You probably will want to turn around a million times, and you're probably really, really nervous. It's normal. The devil does not want you to heal, does not want you at retreat centers or anything like that. Go to the retreat, and it will be an amazing experience for you. I wanted to turn around several times. I did not want to talk when I was there, but I talked. I didn't stop talking, but I also didn't stop crying either. But retreats are a beautiful thing. Well, I don't want to say retreats because I've only been to one. I'll let you know after the next one. But I think coming from this, there was things so buried I didn't realize affected me until this weekend. But now that I've addressed it, like, I feel really good. Like, I am able to talk about some things and not bawl my eyes out. Like, if you're struggling with things or been through some stuff, like, I understand we all go through things. If there's a retreat that you feel like it's calling to you, go to it. Talk to the person who's running it. A lot of times I feel like retreats, don't they have testimonies for retreats? Like, most of them are not really.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they do.
Like, I know it might be a scary thing to go to retreat, whether you're going as a couple or by yourself, but it will be a beautiful experience. But this is retreat 1 out of 1, so I'll let you know when
We'll go to a second
2
one.
for 2.
Yeah.
But I haven't, like, talking to other women who were there, they've been to other retreats and telling me, like, how they're great and you should keep going to them, and, like, they help you grow your relationship with God. Like, there's so many different ones, and I didn't realize, like, all the different ones they actually have. Like, I thought it was, like, kind of, like, limited to, like, the dark stuff, like sadness, grief, trauma, abuse, or, like, you know what I mean, everything like that. Like, no, I didn't realize there was, like, or, like, couple troubles or something like that. Like, I didn't realize there was, like, oh, grow your relationship with God, love encounter. I forget where I got that from, and stuff like that, which is
all different learning ones.
Yeah, so just push yourself to go, because how you feel Friday or Monday or Tuesday or whenever it starts, you will not feel that way by the end of it.
Or if
I just hope they have a good mattress.
If you're listening to this and it's this could be a year-old video and you're listening to this, hit us up. Or hit her up.
Hit him up. Just kidding. No, you can hit me up and ask questions. Like, I am an open book for the most part, depending on what we're talking about. But yeah, ask questions.
So with
I think that's all I have to say.
It's definitely it for me.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm tapped.
But we'll probably talk more about it next week after, maybe see how things are. I think it's just get out the after retreat. I mean, it's like I'm exhausted, but just to get it out there while it's still fresh in our mind, and the importance of you feel excited once it's done and when you're there, but then the hardest part is when you get back home and the stresses start piling back up again. And it can feel like it's a mountain weighing on you. And I feel like when the devil gets a hold of what you're struggling with, he's going to pounce on that real hard. So just something to keep in mind. So yeah, we'll talk back more. We have other topics coming up. But we wanted to get this out there, and we are pushing that hour mark.
Yeah. So that's all we have for tonight because we are exhausted. We've been doing 12, 14 million hour days. So that's all we have. And we are signing off. I'm Mercedes.
I'm Justin.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.